Hello everyone and welcome. This is a bag dump of what I took on my Canyon Creek adventure yesterday. And I had everything out and I thought, I should just do a quick bag dump video. This was specific to that trip. This changes depending on where I'm going, how much stuff I need to carry, how long I'm going for. But I'm gonna go through everything I brought and chat with you a little bit about each item individually. First of all, the bag is not pictured. It's this Osprey Sportlight 25, and I find it to be really good for full day trips. It's big enough for an extra pair of shoes. It's got a lot of great things, and I'll load this up at the end, not fully, but I'll show you how some stuff can fit in the end. First of all, I'm going to start with, so this is all my camera equipment on this side, and I'm gonna start with the microphone, because I'm gonna show you the difference between the camera mic that's connected to the iPhone and what it sounds like when I hook this onto my shirt. So this is a little recording pack, and I'm going to power it up, and then I will splice in the good audio so you'll see the difference in just a sec. Give me one sec. All right, this is now the high quality microphone. So you can hear the difference immediately, and you can see this mic in the videos. I really like this mic. It's a tiny little lavalier mic. The mic pack is from Tentacle Sync, and it records in, if you care about this technical stuff, it records in 32-bit float codec. It's very small, and it actually records right in here, and you basically can't peak the microphone in that. It's not a codec. Bit rate, I guess. You can't peak the microphone. So even if you're yelling, if there's a wild variation in how loud you're talking, you're never going to peak it. This thing is amazing. These are really great. So this is the little mic pack. I keep it in this little sunglasses case in my pocket or bag, and then I just run the cord. To me, this provides a little bit of shock protection. Sometimes I have it in my pocket and it almost gets wet, so I like to carry it in my bag or something like that. All right, so I'm mic'd up. I sound good. I'm just going to go through quickly all the camera gear. This is the Ace Pro from Insta360. It's a little action camera, just like a GoPro. One of the things I really love about it is the flip-up screen. So you can do low angle stuff. It can record slow motion, it does underwater. It's a great little camera. I often wear this. Usually you see me wearing it on this neck strap, and it just clicks right in there. And then if I want to do an underwater shot or something like that, I can just unclip it, goes right back in. The other piece of gear that I have for this would be around my neck, and when I'm not using it, you can just undo it. Collapse is pretty small, and these are the quick release plates for the camera. The other piece of gear is this Insta360 telescoping, I guess you call it a selfie stick and a tripod. So this folds out the bottom. It's still wet from yesterday, so I'm gonna leave that open. But there's a quick release plate on the top of this as well. So you can just click it in like that, and then you can set it up. Or I use it often for underwater stuff. I'll hold this end and I'll be able to scoop it down underwater. This is very lightweight, doesn't take up much space in the bag. You can see, that's all it is. So that's a great little piece of gear. The other thing I have for this is, let's turn this off. There we go. The thing I have for this is a little plate that can carry my iPhone. So there's a quick release plate on that too. And it goes like that. And then you can click your iPhone into it. So I can have the iPhone on a tripod, and then I can still be wearing the Ace Pro around my neck, so you get a couple angles. I'm gonna leave this up and let it dry off. Then I've got a bunch of batteries, backup batteries. Each battery lasts about 45 minutes. The internal card I have in here goes for about 4 hours. I forget how big it is, but it goes for about 4 hours. So batteries, that's all the camera gear. And that's pretty much it for camera gear. That's all I ever use. I use that in my iPhone, which is recording this video right now. So let's go back. Let's go through the rest of it. So in terms of what do I wear, I left my house that was forecast to be like 95 degrees at sea level where I live. But when I got to the trailhead, it was 55 degrees, and so it was pretty cold. but my hiking pants that I love for warm weather are these Outdoor Research Ferrosi pants. They're really lightweight, they're very comfortable. So in really hot weather, these are the pants I choose. So I was wearing those. And then I was also wearing this Mountain Hardwear hoodie. I forget the name of the Mountain Hardwear hoodie, but I will put it in the description. Again, super lightweight. I have a lot of sun hoodies because the sun here in Southern California is incredible, very intense. But this is the lightest weight one. So when I'm going for hot weather, this is the one I take. I like it because it's got little thumb holes, so you can have your hands covered more for the sun. And it's got the hood. This is great. Very small, very lightweight. So that's what I was wearing. The only other thing to mention is I'm going to talk about my water shoes, but my hike-in shoes are these Loa Renegade GTX. They're a really burly shoe. I don't like high ankle shoes. It's not comfortable on my particular ankles. So these are the shoes I've been hiking in, backpacking in for years. I just keep buying the same one again and again. So I love those shoes, and the bag that I brought was big enough where I could hike in with those shoes and then throw them in my bag. For socks for hiking, Darn Tough is a Vermont company. These are the best socks ever. This is what I brought for socks. So I hiked in those shoes, and then when I got to the stream, I put on these Salomon Techamphibian 5s just with my feet. So the water, they dry out really quick. Water comes in, water comes out. They're pretty protective of your feet. Now, for this particular adventure, I came back pretty beat up. I ate it in the stream at least 3 times, but and my feet were pretty banged up too. So they're not as protective as like a full wading boot would be. So if you have that, that's a great thing to bring. But they're also lightweight. They got really good traction, and so I really like these. And sometimes I'll wet wade in just sandals, but this was really scrambly and really technical, climbing up, and the rocks were all covered with slime, and it was all that stuff. So the other thing to mention there is when I wasn't fishing, I was using 2 of these Costco Cascade Mountain Tech hiking poles. I sometimes use one. If I have my fishing rod in one hand, I can have this pole in the other hand. That's what I like about Tenkara, is one-handed, so I can walk that way. But if I'm like on the way out, I put all the fishing stuff away and just use those for as much security as I could. It really helped to have 2 points of contact while you can move your foot and make sure it's secure and all that stuff. The other sort of non-fishing stuff were, I just brought 2 bars. That'll be my lunch. I always bring an N95 mask these days for 2 reasons. One, the pandemic, but more because of wildfires. Fires can start up really fast, and if they do, it's really nice to have an N95 to filter it. I've hiked in N95s before in the Sierra, and it's just a nice thing to have around, sort of emergency gear. The other thing I always bring is a trowel and some toilet paper, because if you're in the middle of nowhere, miles from the trailhead, and a bathroom and some soap, powdered soap, if you gotta go, you gotta go. And a bunch of times that's necessary, and it saved me. Okay, let's start working from left to right. This is the watch I bring. It's a G-Shock from Casio, super durable, really easy to read. It also happens to like count your steps and silly things like that, but sometimes it's fun to look at that information. The other thing is the Zoleo, which is a satellite communicator. So a lot of the places I go are up creeks. There's no cell service. I have 2 kids. I need to be able to reach my wife. She needs to be able to reach me. So I always bring this, and it's fantastic. The subscription is about 20 bucks a month, and you get like 20 messages with that, and you can pay for more messages as you go. I use my iPhone for everything. So I use Gaia GPS for tracking where I am, how far I've gone, navigating, all that stuff. I'll also bring a paper map if I have one of the area, but usually I use just my phone, and so I always bring a backup battery. This is a Nite Core 10,000 milliamp hour battery. Keep it in here with some other cords, so I can always charge my iPhone. I mean, if I had an emergency, that would be my #1 thing I would need to do, because I need my iPhone to have power to run the Zoleo, to communicate with someone else, etc. Okay, so now for just a couple other personal items, little thing of sunscreen, lip balm, car key, pocket knife. This is the Benchmade mini bug out. Love this knife. It weighs less than 2 ounces. It's enough knife for you to do any emergency things. Fantastic little knife. And then everything else here. Oh, right. So this is a little pouch full of all kinds of medications. So Advil, Imodium. I mean, if you have a bout of diarrhea in the middle of nowhere, you're always thankful to have A, the trowel, and B, the meds. But all kinds of meds. Benadryl, in case you have an allergic reaction to something. It's a little thing of meds. Then I think the rest of this stuff is fishing. Well, water bottle. So I talked about this in my video, but this is only about a 20-ounce water bottle, and I'm hiking in the stream. So what I do is I bring a small water bottle like this, fill it up, hydrate well before I go. But then, you know, I'm in a crystal clear stream, and so what I bring to treat the water is aqua mirror drops. I've portioned them into smaller little eyedroppers, dropper bottles, and so it's, you know, 7 drops of each one. It mixes in this little container, creates this sort of chlorine solution. You put that in the water bottle, you wait 20 minutes, and your water's safe to drink. And all the streams that I usually go in are crystal clear anyway, so it's not like you have to filter out a bunch of sediment or debris or anything like that. So I always carry water treatment here, and then in here I'll have a credit card, my license, my fishing license, just in this little, I don't know what this is, chums, whatever that is. And then for a pack for fishing stuff, when I have a big backpack, I like to have a little pack on my hip to carry most used stuff like fly boxes, tippet, lines, stuff like that. And so this tiny little Patagonia fanny pack, hip pack is perfect for that. I can fit all the stuff you see here in this fanny pack. I usually carry, both of these are Nirvana. Nirvana on the fly, so that's Brent's company, Dragon Tail. And these are the hemostats that I use. And the nippers, and I keep those in the front pouch right here. Then I always bring a thing of tippet and a spool of tippet and a spool of level line. This is just a dragon tail spool. It's nice and thin, so if you're, you know, these have lines in them. I'll get to that in a sec. But if you need to create another line on the fly, you always can. So those go in here. Then we've got fly boxes. This is a Curacao box by a Japanese angler. He hand creates this out of wood. And this one is just a little tiny box, but I had a friend that tied me some flies, so I threw all those flies in here to bring that on the day. Then I've got this. This is a Trader Joe's Altoids type tin with a little piece of foam in it. And here's just like an assortment of strange flies. I got some streamers, got a little wiggly worm, got some top flies, just like a mishmash of flies. But I love that it has the clear top. I think this is their green tea mints at the checkout at Trader Joe's, but it's a perfect little fly box. It's really cool. And I like that it's clear and you can see into it. And then this third fly box I brought yesterday, this is Jason Class gave me this, a Tenkara Talk. I think he might start carrying these, but they've got little magnets in the bottom of each of the bins so nothing falls out. And then this sliding cover, it's walnut, and I think it's made by a gentleman in Europe. Jason's considering carrying these. And then in here I've got all flies that Jason has tied. So these are June Kabari, I guess a couple that he hasn't tied, but mostly these are Jason's flies. Ichiban Kabari, June Kabari, North Country Spiders. And so I brought that. So I've got 3 little fly boxes. The only other flies I brought, these are the flies that come when you buy an Oni rod. They sometimes give you a little gift of a couple flies. So these are flies from Oni. Then here, this is tippet rings. I really like tippet rings, and so if I have to create another line on, you know, when I'm out in the field or on stream, I like having the tippet rings. These are 2.0 tippet rings from Brent at Dragon Tail. These have been great, and so I always just bring these because they weigh nothing. And lastly, this is a bongo tie. If you're not familiar with bongo ties, they're just incredibly helpful for so many things. Just a little rubber band with a bamboo wooden thing on the end, and they're just great for securing things, for wrapping things up. So I always have an extra bongo tie somewhere, 1 or 2 really. So this is the pouch that'll sit on my hip because I've got everything I need right in here. And then in terms of lines, I'll either have this line carrier right in there with it, or I'll have these line carriers in my bag. But these are leather pouches that I made. My company is onestarleathergoods.com, and I made these specifically to fit some spools. And so this is a Curacao spool. And so what I'll do is I'll put a couple lines on these spools. And so I'll have, each of these spools actually holds 2. Usually these spools only hold 1, but I had them sort of modify it for me to carry 2 lines. And so I'll put a couple lines. These are sort of the lines that are in use. One of them is actually on the rod right now, but usually I've got 4 lines with me. So I'll have different lengths of lines, and then the fly just sits in the middle there. You can see my other videos for a review of this spool because it's my favorite thing. Probably my favorite piece of Tenkara gear is this spool. It's just the most well-designed, well-thought-out thing I've ever seen. And I made this pouch to carry it. In the back, a little tippet card here. So this is 7X tippet. I've got a couple rods that need super light tippet. But I know if I'm going out, I can just grab these two and I'll have 4 different lines, 4 different lengths, a bunch of flies already tied on. It makes things really easy. Another tippet holder back here. So if I go ultralight, I can really just bring this, a little bit of tippet on a card in the back. These things are awesome. So I might go and put this right here in this fanny pack, and then I would have this would be everything I need to fish, and it would be just right on my hip, right there. The other thing I often bring is a thermometer to check the air and the water temperature. This is a Dash Mini from thermoworks.com. This is a highly regarded company. They've got magnets on it. You can like stick it to the fridge. Is this magnetic? No. Is this magnetic? No. But this is great for checking the water temperature. Small, lightweight, fits in your bag. I talked about my water bottle and how I don't carry a lot of water because I'm on stream, right? So if I want to I just fill it up. So I filled this up twice yesterday on the day. Drank one in the morning and then filled up one as I was going back, and then filled up another one for the hike out of the canyon because it's hot and everything. So now on to the last of the fishing stuff. Well, first of all, let me say one other thing about, I talked about the level line that I had with me, but I also just wanted to mention that my favorite level line is number 3 Nissin level line in this orange color. I find it to be very, very visible, and I'll often tie a green, this is a Shimotsuke number 3 line. I'll often tie a green Shimotsuke like cider, so maybe 8 inches of cider on the bottom of the orange line, and then it's just incredibly visible. I was fishing with just an orange line all day yesterday, and it was fine. It worked just fine, but sometimes I tie on some green cider. So this is my favorite level line, which is the Nissin number 3. The other thing I'll talk about in a second, when I have a full bag, I don't bother bringing this, but the other piece of gear I absolutely love is this Zimmer-built quiver. You can hold 2 rods in this, and if I'm going out with just a pouch like this and maybe a net on my belt, it's really cool to have 2 other rods. It's almost weightless. This thing weighs an ounce and a half, and you can carry a couple rods, sling it on your back, it totally disappears. It's fantastic. So I really recommend these Zimmer-built slings, but when I have a full backpack, I don't need that because I just throw these in the backpack itself. The only other thing I wish I'd maybe brought is this is the Zimmer-built holster. And on the last backpacking trip I went on, I found it really helpful because I could put the rod totally rigged up in this and just have it hanging from my shoulder strap. And so I just had the rod at the ready, and I didn't have to stop, take off my backpack. I could just take it out, unwind it, extend the rod, fish a little bit, put it back in, keep going. And I really like that hanging from my shoulder strap in my backpack. You can also hang it from your belt. There's a belt loop right here. And this is a great thing if you need 2 hands to be on your 2 trekking poles so you don't fall in the creek, as I did 3 times yesterday. I took a swim and banged the hell out of my shin. But that's the other thing. Okay, hold on, pause. Okay, I'm back. So the other thing, speaking of falling in the creek, that I should have brought but didn't, these are marketed as weightlifting shin guards because the bar, when you're doing weightlifting Olympic lifts, can scratch you right in the shin. I have so many holes in the front of my shins, and I put another big one there yesterday, trying to push my way through willows, through this tiny hole in the creek, and I ate it and landed on a rock, and there's just a huge gash in my shin, and it hurts like hell. So these are excellent, and I highly recommend them. I didn't bring them because these ones, there's 2 sizes. There's a 7mm thickness and a 5mm thickness, and this is the 7, and they're like a little bulky to put in. Now I had a whole bag. I should have just thrown them in. I don't know why I didn't. It was not a smart move. But wearing these when you're in the creek is just, for me, it's excellent because it protects my shins that already have tons of holes punched in them, and I don't want more. So I should have brought this. Speaking of things I should have brought, That, and then maybe this holster would have been good, because there were a bunch of times where I was holding the rod and trying to navigate the creek, and I put the rod at risk and myself. So instead, if I could just throw this here, have it on my belt, or have it somewhere slightly out of the way at least, that would have helped. So fishing stuff, that was all the details. Net I brought, this is from Great Meadows Canoe and Kayak. A man named Ken makes these. This is a Banksia nut from Australia on the handle. It's a beautiful little net. I love that it's flat and it packs completely flat. It's a very small net. The opening is 11 inches or 10 and a half or so. And it's called his brookie net because it's a good size for native brookies. I caught native brookies on it in New Hampshire a couple weeks ago. And then I've just got a simple magnetic clasp system. So this clips to my belt, and then I can put the net have it hanging from my belt here, pull it off when I need it, just clips back on and it's pretty secure. Every now and again, the net itself will get caught on a branch or something and it will pull loose, but it's nice knowing that the net's not gonna get lost. So I really like the net leash. Then on this particular trip, I brought 2 rods. The first is the Oni Itoshiro 340, and I love this rod. I don't know, Oni rods have so much soul. That's all I can say, especially with this bamboo grip. He hand carves notches into all these where kind of are great places to put your fingers, and it just is an exceptional fishing experience and casting experience. I love the way Oni rods cast. I love their tip flex. I love using a light level line. Like I said, I have a number 3. I also fish it with a number 2.5. I just love their rods. And I have the Oni 1, which is longer, but I knew I was going to a place where I would be mostly on a creek, so I didn't need the 400 centimeter length. So this 340 was great for the beginning. And then actually I went to the even shorter rod as the creek tightened up. But what's on here? I've got these little twist ties, and the links to all this stuff will be in the description. I'll spend a lot of time linking every single thing. These twist ties, while they are an eyesore, I actually have some black ones on order that will just blend in. They're really great because you can twist them up and create a line holder and then just take them off. And it can fit any length rod, you can, whatever. And what I do is, you can see this is the Ichiban Kabari that I was fishing most of the day. Or actually just in the beginning, and then I fished a different one with the other rod, but whatever, this is Jason Class. Red double glass bead head, the fish were just crushing it. But as you wind it up, if you don't have anywhere, what do you do with the fly right now? Well, you can just wind it around the side, and these little rubber things, anywhere on them, you can just stick the fly into the rubber, and then it's held, and you're all set. This is a rod sleeve from Dragon Tail. Not sure what rod came in there, but I think that's a Dragon Tail rod sleeve. But I like that because it just protects dust from falling in there as I'm pushing my way through willows and stuff. If this rod is sticking out of my backpack, it'll get caught on stuff. And so this is a nice rod. I want to protect it, so I often will have it in there when I'm not fishing it. And very quickly, I actually went to a shorter rod on this trip because it was a canyon and the creek tightened up, and I just didn't need the reach. And so in these canyons and these little creeks, I love the 300 centimeter size. I have a lot of rods now in the 290 to 320 size, and I find it to be really good for this stream. So this is the Tanuki Pocket Ninja 290. It's a very snappy, very fast rod, but also very strong. So I was able to just pull fish out of holes and just lift them up through the air to me without any issue at all. A really soft rod, you'd be kind of like, they'd be going all over the place as you try to get them into your net. But I like this rod a lot, and I love the length of it for this size stream. It's actually serendipitous that this is the brown trout design on this rod, because the stream I fished is, hundreds of, it was chock full of rainbow trout, teeming with rainbow trout at times. But I only caught 1 brown trout in the very first deep pool, but it felt serendipitous to be have brought the brown trout rod and also the brown trout hat. I have a ton of trucker hats. I buy patches. I have a trucker hat that fits my head perfectly. I love the way it fits. It's a Yupoong 5-panel, and it comes in all these colors. So I'll order the hats for like $10, and then I'll order the patches separately and just iron them on or glue them on. And so I grabbed my brown trout rod and my brown trout hat and fished a stream that I should not have been able to catch any brown trout, and I found one, so that was serendipitous. But that's the other thing I wear for sun protection. The combination of the sun hoodie with the hood over the top protects my sides, and then I've got the trucker hat for the protection on the face. And I can always turn it around and get it out of my way too. I like that because then I can, if I need to, I can, you know, get the brim out of my way. So I think that's everything. I think we talked about everything. If you have any questions, hit me down low. I'll also link to the actual video of, I haven't edited it yet, but I'm gonna do a video of this day of fishing. It may actually end up being a couple parts because I was out there for 4 hours. I've got a lot of footage. And you know, lately I've been like, no one wants to sit through a 30-minute video. Keep it under 20 minutes. But this was fantastic. Oh right, I was gonna put some of this stuff in the bag and show you. So this bag is awesome. This bag is awesome. I had an earlier version of this Osprey bag for 10 years. The company's great. I just love Osprey bags, but this bag is great. It's got a pouch here that's shallow, so for most used stuff, you can put it right there on the top. Then it's got 2 deep pouches. Here there's 2 mesh pouches there, and then 1 more deep pouch here, and then it also has a reservoir for water in the back, a space behind the back panel to put like a bladder if you wanted to put a water bladder. But what it's perfect for is Tenkara rods. And they can just sit there, and this one I would put in the sock. And then I had this one like this. And I like this because the bag is pretty tall, so the rod just sticks out like that. It's not going anywhere because it's between these 2 straps. It's in the middle. It's not gonna snag on branches as I duck underneath. Now you could put it on the side too without much problem. There's 2 big water bottle pouches, but it's a little more open. So it's easier to snag, but it could easily sit like that as well. But what I usually do is I'll have a water bottle on one side, maybe snacks on the other side, or my tripod just sticking in there. So there's 2. There's also this pouch that's big and on the bottom. And what is this venting? There's a little vent here. Is that a vent? I don't know what that is. Oh, it's just a tie-on point. Just a lash point if you want to tie something on. Interesting. Anyway, great bag. But what I did when I was done using my water shoes and they were soaking wet is I stuck them in here, stuck them both in here like that. So they're on the outside of my pack. They're not getting water, sand, and dirt on the stuff that's on the inside of the pack. It was perfect. More than enough space inside to swallow my hiking shoes in their entirety and have room for everything else. So, I mean, this is just an exceptional day trip pack. When you're doing a more, an extended day trip and you need to have lunch, you need to have all this other gear, just a great pack. I love this. There's also, it's very comfortable. There's a hip pocket on the hip belt here. Really great. So also, when I wasn't using these poles, that's one of the things I put in the side pouch. I would stow them here and they would only stick up a little bit above my head, like that. And so I got my hiking poles, I had my water over here, and that worked really well. So I can't say enough great things about this bag, especially for fishing in Tenkara and day trips like this. I found it to be exceptional and perfect. So great bag. Also love the color. It's a little bit low key. It's a little blendy-inny as they say. You don't want to be wearing a neon orange bag unless your name is Tenkara Tanuki. Then everything neon orange, please. But yeah, anyway, so that's all the stuff. I hope that helped somebody see what I brought for that trip. I'll put the link to the actual videos down below. Maybe I'll do a little like 2-minute cut of that so you can see sort of what sort of trip this stuff went on and put that here, or maybe even before this, who knows. I'm making this up as I go along. Hope you're doing great. Tune in next time for the next video, and thanks for watching.